Welcome to my art form.
It's time for Post-Orthodoxy, a show about changing our minds.
Yeah, baby.
With your hosts, Dark and Ainsley Sevier.
Maybe what they believe about reality isn't all of reality.
What?
I know, right?
We're on a mission to have a better time with more people more often.
The question is more, how do you get there?
Post-Orthodoxy explores strongly held beliefs, how those belief systems divide or connect people, and what might be found beyond those reality bubbles.
Keep calm. Don't lose your head.
I've got a piece of chocolate here with me because I got anxiety about doing this.
Welcome to this neighborhood, neighbor.
Copy that. All right, here we go. Technical difficulties be damned. Welcome to Post-Orthodoxy, episode 18 of season 2. Our special guest today is Krysta Kelley. Thank you for joining us, Krysta.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing some live audio mixing as we go to make sure we get everything sorted so that Dark can hear himself better.
Oh,
Excellent.
well, we're going to be fine.
Just pull the microphone out in front of you, darling.
It's not the microphone. It is some other thing. And the wires are
I
buttons.
also can't hear you very well.
Okay, thanks.
I can hear you both and you sound fabulous.
Okay,
Oh, thank you. How is the audience doing? Can the audience hear us?
For the folks that are just tuning in, sometimes people say we can't hear you.
Yeah,
So
they do. It's true.
If you're tuning in, if you have tuned in and you have the ability to comment on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube, let us know if you can hear us.
How's that? A
That
little
sounds
better?
something happened there.
Yeah,
something better.
I took your voice strength down from strong to medium. How does that make you feel?
That's weird. That's weird.
The emasculation was
What?
effective.
We don't normally start shows this way. Okay, so that's a little bit better. I also you're still speaking down into the top of the microphone, and it's not
It doesn't change anything. I'm speaking sideways into the thing. I'm speaking sideways into it.
Okay, I think we're going to be fine.
I don't know. We're going to find out.
Krysta, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Happy to be here.
Can we just not fight?
Can we just not fight?
Do I have to put you two in separate corners? Oh, you're already in separate corners.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
sure.
true. Fight! Get away! Get away! I'd like to thank Stitch Fix for this cute dress that I'm wearing today. They're not sponsoring us, but if Casey from Stitch Fix ever sees this and would like to sponsor us, that could be fun.
It's a snazzy dress. Sam Thompson says he hears us.
Oh, fantastic. I'll
Hey,
bring
Sam.
Sam into the station.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Welcome to the show.
Welcome, indeed. Here we are. So Monday we had a really.
What? That's me. That's me.
We'll just have our editor cut all of that stuff out.
Yeah.
We'll just start with thanks, Krysta, and then go right into this next bit.
Fab.
Post-Orthodoxy is a show about changing our minds, which Dark and I do all the time. We're having some stickers made up with a quote from one of our love to haters.
People who
Haters?
thought that who didn't understand the premise of the show.
Yeah, they were like, they should be kicked out of KBMF because they violate norms and community expectations. And it's
I should give credit to the person who gave us that tagline.
yeah, thanks.
Ben Weiss in Missoula, Montana, he said that we were violating norms and community expectations on a social justice radio station.
How dare we?
We should be kicked off.
So we're turning it into a sticker. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's a point of pride.
Thanks, Copper City Sign and Awning.
Speaking of, I'll give you our content warning.
Yeah, do our
Viewer
content warning.
discretion. The opinions and views expressed on this program are subject to change. Future Dark and Ainsley may not agree with present or past Dark and Ainsley, and that's the point of the show. Welcome to Post-Orthodoxy.
Welcome to Post-Orthodoxy. Monday we had a rip-roaring show about drugs. I really just get really giddy when we get to talk about drugs because it's not as personal as all the other shit that we argue about all the time. Like, people get really stressed out when you talk about politics and religion, and they're like, this is about my grandma, or this is about my childhood, or this is about what I want for the children, and like drugs, like we can kind of, it's a little less personal, I think.
For you,
What we want for everyone.
Yeah.
some people feel very strongly about it.
Yes, and some people have had really, really negative experiences with drug abuse and drug addiction, unfortunately.
I know more people that have had really negative experiences with drug enforcement.
I know more people who have had really negative experiences with alcohol and nicotine, but we don't talk about that.
They're technically drugs.
That's
They
legal.
are.
They're just not
They're
my
legal.
favorite
So
drugs.
just
They're
They
legal,
are-
so technically they're
They are legal, yeah. Yeah, but yes. Sam says sound quality is rather nice. So
Sam
that's-
said that
you,
that's
Sam.
a fantastic compliment.
I think so. On the subject of drugs, when I met you, Krysta, last December on a film set here in Butte, you were telling me about a business that you're starting here in Montana, the Her Royal Highness Canna Chef.
Right. I came out from Portland December of 2020 to come back to Montana. I've been gone 23 years, and I heard that they had legalized, not commercial, but recreational cannabis. And I started a business March of 2020 called Her Royal Highness Canna Chef, and we all know how that ended.
That's how I've been referring to you for the last month of announcing your guest appearance on our show.
Yeah, no, so basically I ended up just making a lot of things for friends of mine. They were also stuck in quarantine, and I didn't cater any parties because there were no parties to cater.
Right.
But I'm opening this business because I've developed protocol that I hope to sell to the states that have legalized commercial. I don't want to say commercial, recreational.
Recreational, right. I mean, it's
cannabis.
true.
It is commercial. It's versus medical.
The reason why it's taken so long to become recreational is because of the commercial aspects.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
The right people have to make money off it for them to
very true.
support it. So I started that business. I did a few things for friends during quarantine, and then I moved out here, and I'm opening up what I believe will be one of the first bud and breakfasts in the country. But I'm not emphasizing the bud part.
You're not selling it as a bud and breakfast.
I'm not selling it as a bud and breakfast, but I just want to normalize it. I want people to show up, and if somebody lights up a joint on the deck, I don't want them to go, oh God, they're using the devil's lettuce.
The marijuanas.
Yeah, so I just wanted to be a little more normalized, and so that's why I'm including it when I talk about the space. But it's going to be a very private bed and breakfast, completely inclusive.
Dare I use the word elite?
You can't. It's basically extremely private for people that are in the spotlight. I've been a celebrity chef and caterer for 31 years. A lot of clients over the years, I've always heard them say the most important thing is their privacy.
Yeah.
And they just regret that they can't go to a hotel or a bed and breakfast and just hang out and be themselves and not wear makeup or
right.
They just want to exist and be
normal without like
paparazzi and
or
tourists
like
and the stealth camera across because they're sitting there. So my staff isn't going to have cameras. They'll have no phones. They'll have Apple Watches. Blah blah blah. I'm very very private, but I just want people to understand that it's just it's a gift from Mother Nature. It grows.
Yeah.
It's been for
it's
thousands of years. It's not. It's
you know
not.
What else is a plant? Salvia.
It's not Satan. It's a plant that has medicinal purposes that we actually have receptors in our bodies for. Because way back we ate cows that grazed on wild hemp, and we ended up through evolution with receptors in our body. So it's really the best medicine for a lot of things.
Endocannabinoids.
Yes, endocannabinoids.
Endocannabinoid system, right?
Exactly.
I am a fan of Cheech and Chong.
I love them as well. I saw them live 2 years ago on the Oregon coast at a casino.
But I've been advocating for decades to de-Cheech and Chongify pot. Like the Rasta flag, the big green leaf,
right?
All the sort of Prohibition era criminality aspect of like, oh, we're getting away with a thing by doing this thing. I would love to see that be more nostalgic,
right?
Rather than having it be a part of the current idea of what this is. Because when prohibition of alcohol ended, that's where we got all those big neon martini glasses all over the country suddenly. Right. It became a high class or a high sort of like an indicator of people liked to drink because it had been illegal, and it gave them this thrill, like, oh, we can go out drinking now and be like the bad guys were. And so you had this sort of idea of marijuana or of alcohol transform from something that was illegal to something that was elite or that was special. And most of the 20th century, business deals and political arrangements were done over a highball. I would love to see a new era with a new neurochemical that was changing the direction of the kind of businesses that we're conducting.
Right. Yeah, I've seen things like in catering, canna weddings are a popular thing, especially with people in recovery from alcohol.
Oh yeah.
They don't want to have any temptation, and they don't want to have any chaos at the wedding.
But you still want to feel like that it's a celebration, and we're used to being
special.
mildly altered when we're having celebrations.
Right. So you know they're starting to, like you said, with the alcohol after prohibition, it's kind of starting to have the same effect out in the world. And I try to use the word canna and cannabis as opposed to weed, marijuana, because those are the ones that demonized it.
Dope.
Right. Junk, whatever. There's so many word terms they use that made it sound super horrible and scary. Reefer madness.
I try really hard not to use the word pot.
Yeah, I try and use canna and cannabis. When people go, canna what? I say cannabis. They're like, marijuana. Oh, that.
Who are you talking to that doesn't know cannabis?
I've said a few times at the grocery store, grocery clerks and stuff. Like I was buying a bunch of coconut oil to infuse.
How old was this grocery clerk?
Young. I was really kind of shocked. I was like, okay.
Interesting.
But then it's being in Montana, it's amazing how many of these very crimson-necked conservative folks that are actually very into it.
Of course.
They don't talk about it.
I've been seeing some really interesting things because of my friend over here keeps inviting me to join like groups with names like MK Ultra psychedelic shit posting. And stuff like so I'm seeing more of the psychedelic underbelly, and it's
psychedelic warfare and MK Ultra shitposting.
Right, and then the other one is I believe the psychedelic class warfare exists.
Yes.
Well, I mean that's another thing. But cannabis is one, but the fact that they were going back for medicine, we're going back into using microdosing of mushrooms,
yes,
or ketamine, or
MDMA. We're doing MDMA therapy, ketamine therapy,
all these things, and they were so demonized for so long. If you look at 18th century medicine and the early 19th century, okay, there's cocaine, there's opium, there's cannabis, there's all these things that were
which are naturally produced things, or
they've
used
been around
to be
forever.
Wait, so Sam says marijuana is a racist term. Is that true?
Yes. It was, I believe, I've been told that it kind of is, because that's what they used to demonize it. They called it marijuana versus
because that associates
cannabis.
it with Hispanic-speaking people.
Marijuana.
Who they were. Marijuana. Not
strange,
like you.
foreign-sounding thing.
Right.
Definitely
that
not
was exactly,
suburbia.
That's how they pulled it off. They made it look like this horrible thing, but in reality, it's a great medicine.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally, up until about 6 years ago, it wasn't on my radar. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. I used to drug test my employees in Cannon Beach, Oregon. I was a manager at Pizza Fat, an incredible place. And the owner, we all got drug tested. It just was the norm. Didn't think anything of it. I've been drug tested so many times, I can blink. I mean, it's just over a lot of jobs over the years.
Wow.
A lot of background checks and
fingerprints
and all that nonsense.
I really just assumed that you have just, I mean, you made this delicious marijuana popcorn before bed, and I was just like, she's obviously been doing this a while.
Well, I've been catering for 31 years.
Right.
But no, my dad was always into it. My dad, when I was growing up, I remember finding bags of, my mom was a terrible cook, still is. And I'd find like, gosh, how come there's a big bag of parsley behind the fireplace? That's weird.
Dried parsley.
Is mom cooking down here? And as a little kid, that's what you think. And then in hindsight, in retrospect, I'm like, that was dad's stash. Okay.
Have you ever personally heard any stories of abuse coming out of marijuana use other than like somebody slacking? Because I know that slacking or not being engaged is a rough thing.
I can see, I mean, personally, no, but I can see somebody getting super into it to just as an escape. All cannabis use is medicinal, whether you know it or not.
Oh, really?
I mean, think about it. A teenager that's got anxiety or they don't fit in, and so they're smoking to do their thing. Okay, well, that is, again, that's medicine. That's calming the nerves.
Is it just because marijuana, I should say cannabis, is inherently medicinally beneficial? Like scientifically, the plant is medicinally beneficial. So whether you mean to be using it for medicinal benefits,
that's how I view it. I see anybody that's using it. I mean, I don't know a lot of people that are like, hey, I'm having the best day. I'm so bored, but maybe I should just light up because I want to get. Because there are people that want to get high and they just get high and they enjoy it. And they love it. Whatever. It's all good. It's enjoy it. Use it. That's what it's for.
Right.
But
why the heck shouldn't we be relaxing?
Right. I don't really. I've never heard of someone overdosing. I think by the time if someone gave you 20 blunts. By the time you got to the third or fourth one, you're going to be ordering pizza. You're going to lose your lighter. There's no way you're going to
fall asleep
overdose
on the floor.
You can't overdose.
Right.
I mean, you can have some pretty wild times. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's many stories out there. There's the 911 calls that police have made after they ate brownies.
Oh dear, right.
To
Like, I don't know what's wrong with me.
I think I don't know what's wrong, and then they find out they've overdosed. Well, not overdosed. They're just high. They just don't understand it because they've never experienced it.
And we have no harm reduction education in this country. We only have abstinence education when it comes to substances.
But in my opinion,
even with alcohol, we don't have harm reduction education.
Right. It's just a great natural alternative to anything else, to alcohol. People, if you don't, if you've got liver disease and you still want to relax or you're in pain, there you go. You've got pain relief, sleep.
You want to have pain relief that doesn't give you constipation.
Right. The right strain can help with cancer. It can help with Parkinson's. It can help with children with epilepsy or seizure disorders.
I'm sure we'll be seeing more of that research as it becomes more commercially viable.
There was a little girl named Charlotte back in, I want to say she was in Tennessee or somewhere, and she had a seizure disorder. I want to say something like 300 a day. And they found out that a high CBD, low THC strain quelled her seizures. And so a grower in Colorado developed something called Charlotte's Web, which is now the go-to strain for kids that need it because it's very high CBD, low THC.
Right.
And I think, unfortunately, she's passed away recently.
Yeah.
Of her ailments, but that's what kept her alive for, last half of her life was cannabis.
Right.
And that strain.
I added 2 Facebook groups into the comment section. One is I acknowledge psychedelic class warfare exists. It's amusing content on the subject. And the other one, which is a more recent one I subscribe to, is Victims of Psychedelic Class Warfare and MK Ultra Shitposting Memorial Fund. I also made a click.
I guess, does that mean we should make edibles and sell them on the street corner? It's like a little bake sale. Help out.
People often ask me, where do you find those things that you put in your Facebook story?
Yes, you do have quite a righteous Facebook story feed.
Now you know 2 of my sources.
That's true.
Yeah.
Multi-thousands.
Because what I was saying about those groups way on back is that a lot of those groups have been bringing it to my attention how many people on the quote-unquote right are doing psychedelics and marijuana. And a lot of the liberals that I see in these groups are kind of like, how do you do psychedelics and still think like a Nazi? And then, of course, the more experienced trippers come in and they're like, look, psychedelics and marijuana and alcohol and any of these things, they don't make you into something you're not.
Right.
They only bring out and amplify and open up what's already inside of you.
That's why if you're like a sweet earth tree hugging hippie, and
you're just going to get more loving
LSD, then you're sort of like, wow, everybody should try this. They're like, we should get Dick Cheney to take this. We should make the Republican. No, you just end up getting fascist on acid. You don't.
It's my new band name.
That's my next band name. Where's Green Days when we need him? I'm going to put it in there since he's not here today.
Oh, band title of the week?
Yeah, a band name.
Fascist on acid?
That's my next band name. We're just going to sit around with cowbells and drop acid on stage.
Cowbells and tiki torches. Fascists.
Banjos.
Fascists.
Banjos and cowbells.
Fascists on acid. I like that. What kind of music would fascists on acid produce?
Punk ska.
Oh, I was gonna say something like metal infused with polka or something.
Punk polka.
Punk polka.
So similar to like
cowbell, banjo, and accordion. Is
and
that
a
where
synth,
we're going?
And a wicked synth, probably.
Checking.
Yeah.
Just so we're
Get right
all
on
clear.
You get some thrash Beethoven or something.
Who wants to be in our band?
Okay, now this sounds like a stoner conversation. As far as I know, we're all pretty much straight.
We were just burning incense, folks. I promise it was just
That
incense. Tammy Strong says, don't blame the drug, blame the heart.
Yes.
I think it was interesting. I was just having this conversation with someone recently about psychedelics and alcohol and other substances. It's like a lot of people like to blame it on the alcohol. We have songs about it, but it's not. Alcohol didn't make you do anything. It freed you to do things that you were already thinking of doing.
Yes.
Right.
Whether it's kiss that girl or punch that guy,
Right.
it was already in ya.
Yeah, which is why I prefer cannabis over alcohol because, again, 5 drunk guys are going to start a fight, 5 high guys are going to start a band. So
Fascist on
I
acid.
prefer that mentality
Yes.
over the latter.
I think that's how somebody first explained to me, Green Days has arrived. Thrash Beethoven is the most brutal movements. The way on back, maybe 10 years ago, I guess, somebody first tried to describe to me how marijuana wasn't so evil. And they were talking about how, like, if you're drunk driving, you're going to go faster. You're going to be more aggressive, whether it's, sassy aggressive, like, yeah, suckers, or angry aggressive, like, get out of my way.
Your reflexes.
Your reflexes are slower. And they're like, but if you're high, you're going to go slower. You're going to take your time.
You pay all the attention because you want to make sure that you're paying all the attention because you are high and driving.
And
hypothetically.
Hypothetically. And the worst thing that you have to watch out for is other drivers assuming you're going to be going 65, but you're actually only going 45.
You think you're going 65. Right? No.
Yeah, the danger is the guy that sits at the stop sign waiting for it to change.
Right. That's true.
Right. Oh, no.
Just happy with my thoughts at the stop sign waiting for it to turn into a go sign.
Did that happen to you?
Yeah. Just sitting there waiting for... I'm happy to be sitting here. I'm not in a hurry.
I've never driven high. I take it the night before bed. I take like 50 to 100 milligrams. I wake up out of pain, no inflammation. I sleep well. Very rarely do I do anything in the daytime.
Road trips on pot is where I get all my best visual images. Like, I'll be driving along and then I'll be like, you know what I want? I want like a 747 and I want to like chop it in half and I want to have it off a cliff so it looks like it crashed into the mountain and then make an apartment out of it.
There's one in Oregon. There's a whole 747. It's in the woods. He does raves.
I've seen that, but I want to make it look like it crashed into the mountain.
And then live in what's crashed sticking out.
And then the parts sticking out.
Okay.
Anyway, these are the things I think about when I drive. Obviously, very dangerous stuff.
I can see that.
We talked on Monday about a lot of the harm reduction educational websites that have been on the internet. So Erowid, it's spelled weirdly. I'll type it out for everybody. Erowid has been around since the early 90s, like the very fucking beginning of the fucking internet. And they have scientific articles, statistics, and trip reports from people who have taken substances. How much did you weigh? When was the last time you ate? How long did you trip? What did it feel like? Were you with friends or alone? Was there music or not? Was it daytime or nighttime? And so people kind of like describe their whole experience with whatever it was, and various, maybe they mixed some things, or maybe they tripped after surgery, or maybe, like all these sorts of things.
I just supplied links. So they now have a mobile app, which is usually, it was horrible trying to look at Erowid on your phone.
They have a mobile app?
That's
fantastic.
Yeah.
So this is a harm reduction website. So it's a place where you can, if you're not buying into the abstinence training that you should just not do drugs in the U.S. because they're all illegal, you can go to Erowid and find information to help you be safe while you're trying drugs.
So scholarly articles.
They have medical journal articles, and one of the terms that they use on there all the time is swim in all caps, and it's someone who isn't me. So
tried LSD for the first time last night.
And they had a great time,
Swim.
And so that's a way for you to post stories or even, tell stories, or like, I guess, if someone wants to come after you for driving high in the past.
All right, somebody gave me some Molly. How do I know if it's Molly?
Yeah.
You have to take it to the police department, get it tested. Wait.
And can I mix it with alcohol? Somebody
can I do Molly
gave
and
me
alcohol?
Some Molly. And how much do I take?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, so you can always go and you can find out how Molly interacts with psilocybin or LSD or peyote, or you can go and just find the cocktail that you're thinking of trying. And there's numerous trip reports from people saying advise or do not advise, depending on their experience. So
Interesting.
that way you can gather it's not all just don't do that or you're morally wrong.
Right.
It's like
How to do it and not die.
yeah, how to do it and not die.
And heaven forbid, have an actually positive experience. Green Day says the timeline of trip reports is really helpful data too, like how much time from the initial dose to when the effects were felt, and then when is the peak of the effect, and then how long does it take to kind of recover.
I took that acid 20 minutes ago. I don't feel anything.
I should probably take some more.
take twice as much.
Oh, that's like the edibles enigma right there that
yeah.
you don't want to fall into.
That's what we warn everybody about with edibles.
Yes.
I've had some experiences with edibles where I'm always a little reticent to try it again because it is like a sort of long lead in and you don't know if you've taken too much until about an hour later from my experience. And then I'm like, oh, that was stronger than I thought. And then I just find myself at Kinko's making copies for 4 hours. Copies of copies and getting creative. And then I'm like, well, how did
You run out of paper, you can always take one and print off new ones if you run out.
Flip one over and print. Wait, what?
If you run out of paper, you can always take it to the copier and print out some more blanks.
That's right.
That's stoner thought right there.
Oh my God, you guys.
That kind of stuff. So I think edibles, I would like to try them again, but I always feel like, well, I would try that, but I don't know if I've got 4 hours to experiment with today.
Right.
There's
hard to take a gap.
There's such a variety in them that you can. It's like women's clothing sizes. Have you ever seen the article where they say these are all size 10 and there's pants like this and they're like this and like this? And you're like, that's all the same size? Edibles are the same way.
Yeah.
10 milligrams is not 10 milligrams. It's not 10 milligrams.
Size. Yeah, it's not a size.
Because
really,
I
didn't know that.
It's because it's the strain specific. So if you have like something made with a distillate, 10 milligrams might be okay. I'm a little bit high. Or if you go with something full spectrum, you're going to get. Personally, for me, it's about twice as strong with full spectrum. Like when I make my own oils and butters or tinctures out of the whole leaf versus using isolate or distillate or having an edible that has been infused with an isolate or distillate. Those are specific for what you want. You want the THC? Do you want the CBD? Do you want what your terpenes or Sam could probably expound on this. Sam's our guy for that.
Yes, that's for sure.
But each thing is different. So the first time I had a full spectrum caramel, I had a 15 milligram full spectrum. This was daytime. I took it and wow, I had to take a nap.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So I went back the next day and I'm like, I'm going to buy all those caramels because they're mislabeled. And she says, what do you mean? I said, because that was not 50. That was like at least 100 because I was like, whoa. And she said, they're full spectrum. That's the difference. Oh. So 10 milligrams with an isolate
rather than
of pure
just a particular
THC,
cannabinoid.
It's the full spectrum. And so all of them affect you. And so 10 milligrams of full spectrum versus 10 milligrams of, a THC isolate or whatever.
Sam also says edibles are very much based on your own body chemistry as well.
Yep.
So like,
like an indica can knock you on the couch and then make you want to clean the crumbs out of the couch.
Right. It could hit me like a sativa.
Could be different. Like it can be totally opposite effects on people.
Especially if you have ADHD. You have a little ADHD. I work in film industry, so get kids on set that are bouncing off the wall. You take a little Red Bull and it's like Adderall.
Yes.
The stimulant calms them down.
I think we've mislabeled uppers and downers. I think stimulants and depressants. I think it's more like here's average brain, right? There's a little sine wave in the middle of the map that's like average brain activity. And then if you have depressed brain activity, an upper is going to bring you to average. And then if you have overactive brain activity, an upper is going to bring you to average.
Right. That's my experience. So
I know so many people with ADHD that take naps on coffee.
Hi, that's me.
Yeah.
Coffee, cream, and sugar, and I am out.
Can't do it on a road trip. That's for sure.
Cannot do it on a road trip. Can't do it on set or I'll fall asleep. So I really think that it does have different effects on different people. Sam was right. It's a huge difference. It just is what your chemistry and how your receptors have accepted what they've been given. So
you only started experimenting with cannabis 6 years ago? What got you into it? What went you from a drug testing overlord to somebody that was like,
Well, in high school and college, I was a ski racer. And we did 700-pound leg presses back in the day, but didn't lift weights in a different fashion to build the muscles in the back of the leg, overdeveloped the front. And after 30 years, which is what it had been at that point, developed bone on bone, ate the cartilage out on the inside of both my knees. So I was on crutches half the time. It was not fun. And I was given PRP, and my doctor said, no Advil, no aspirin, no blood thinners, but you can take cannabis.
What's PRP?
PRP is where they take out your, but they did it on athletes a lot. They draw out like 6 vials of blood. They spin out the platelets and re-inject them on the damaged spot to regrow cartilage. But it's a very slow process, and it's not as effective. Yeah. And then I got stem cells 2.5 years ago, and everything's been regrown, and I'm back to normal.
Wow.
But again, with those, you can't have blood thinners, Advil, anything that'll affect the stem cells. So again, I went with cannabis, and it's life-changing.
That's awesome.
That was my medicine.
And how are your knees doing now?
Medicine. I would say I'm 90% better than I was before the stem cells. Huh. So they're pretty much...
Did you get real human stem cells or like fabricated?
Yes. No, they are out of a stem cell bank in Utah. They're all pre-screened.
Yeah.
It's literally medical waste. You know, people get all hanky about, stem cells.
Oh, no, the infants.
It's not from aborted babies. It's stem cells. When a woman gives birth, they alert the clinic. The clinic comes. They collect the placenta and the end of the umbilical cord, and that's where the cells are taken from.
Fascinating.
It's trash. They're going to burn it anyway.
Right.
So.
Well, they should be cooking it and eating part of it and then burying the rest of it under the full moon in the backyard, but we don't know those sorts of things anymore.
True. Not having any children. I'm just going to nod and smile and say, okay, sure.
Yeah, there are a lot of really interesting placenta traditions out there.
Does she cook with that often?
Oh, God. No, I had a friend in L.A. She was all like Aleister Crowley, Western mystic, hardcore. And she made like placenta pate after her son was born to serve to her friends.
Thank you. That's not on my menu.
I missed that party.
She served it to people.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely not on my list.
No.
On Triscuits.
I mean, it's also not bad. It's not bad.
No, I mean, it's a thing, I guess. I don't know. You cooked it. I don't know.
Oh, this is a terrible topic. We need to.
This is so much fun.
We need to go back to cannabis. But no, I used it for medicine because I'd had knee issues, and now that everything's grown back, I still use it for medicine because just life causes inflammation and pain. And
when I was in Northern California in 2008, and the medical marijuana thing was still pretty. It hadn't settled out yet. It was like illegal in this county, but legal in this county.
Right.
You can grow it here, but you can't sell it here. You can sell it here, but you can't grow it here.
That's
and to get between here and there, you have to go through 3 counties with good old boys with guns that are just waiting for the guys to bring this stuff through. So it was kind of a crazy mess. And so there were people wanting to open dispensaries. And my friend Mad Dog, we were out sort of advocating and sort of doing education with people to help them understand that this is not Cheech and Chong that we're talking about. This is something else. And so
the devil's lettuce.
We would go to a city council meeting in some like garlic town in Northern California. I can't remember the name of it.
Gilroy.
Gilroy, yeah, in Gilroy.
It's a
the garlic town. And we go to the city council meeting, and there'd be just think of the children though. What about the children? I'm like, well, apparently whenever you legalize it, children stop smoking it.
It's no longer cool.
Because they find it, hey, there's a flashing light like something's trying to die.
No, it's because it's fucking plugged in.
What?
It's plugged in.
What is?
It's flashing because it's plugged in.
Oh, because it doesn't have a battery?
It has a battery. We had this conversation in the chat like 5 minutes ago. It's fine.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I
can't turn off that light.
I got you.
Yeah.
So we would go into these city council meetings, and there'd be like, these old people are like, well, don't drug dealers I'm like, yeah, you wouldn't have drug dealers then. You'd have a store that's with a tax base, and whenever you make marijuana legal. It's no longer the cookie jar the kids can't have.
Right.
And it reduces their interest in it. And
Right.
it shows crime going down wherever you legalize it, et cetera,
And
et cetera, et cetera.
opiate use and death goes down.
And then we brought in people. We brought in people like some old lady who's like, I've got arthritis and I use this little cream and it makes me be able to do my knitting. Or we have this
That's
guy.
what old ladies sound
Legit.
like.
Yeah. Or we had this guy come in as like, I was an Olympic athlete and all my cartilage is fucked. And so now this is the only thing that allows me to keep from being doped up on pharmaceuticals. Or, it wasn't the face that people were expecting. They were expecting some white dready dude, homeless guy. That's what they were expecting, the stereotype of the pot smoker. And we brought in these people that were like, this is going to destroy your stereotype. And then after all that, then somebody else would get it. But what about the children? I don't want my children living in a town where drugs are legal. I'm like, there's a bar right there across the street.
That's the worst
You don't
example.
mind about you don't care about
Dad can come home drunk and
the
beat
drunk
on mom, but
drivers that are
God
just
forbid Dad
careening
should
out of there?
smoke a joint.
No, it's so true. And let's try and use non-combative language. I'm all about trying to reformulate our reality by using life-giving language, right? Not to sound too fruity, but to destroy your stereotype. Perhaps release your stereotype into the wild. Open your mind.
Feed it a hot
Repackage
chocolate.
the information that you've been given before.
Yeah. that works.
Overcome brainwashing. Those are all positive ways we can put it.
But it's absolutely true. I mean, the people that use it now it's just night and day. People, the old stereotype just needs to go away.
Persists.
It's
still
there.
persists.
It's just really not even hardly. It's just like it's not even viable anymore, really.
Nah, people don't change their mind unless they get.
Oh, people don't change their
You
mind.
have
I'm
to
just
have a
saying that the
new
actual
experience.
the new
yeah.
stereotypical user is a soccer mom.
Yeah,
You
Right.
know, sit in front of a dispensary, spend an hour in front of the dispensary, and look at who comes and goes. And
Well,
it
and
is
thank
not
God she's doing cannabis instead of wine and
Right.
muscle relaxers.
Right.
Jesus.
Exactly.
I want to say hello to Dr. Bruce, who's driving into Butte and listening on the road.
Thank you for tuning in on the road, Dr. Bruce. Appreciate you.
Marley's also said she was going to tune in.
Oh, she needs me to send her the link. I'll do that.
I already
right
sent
now.
her the link.
You did?
Well, I sent the link
Yeah.
where it would be.
Where it would show up.
I don't know.
All right, we can make this happen.
So yeah,
All
thanks
right.
everybody for tuning in.
Do we need to talk about more weed things?
More weed things.
Yeah. So, drug war.
So I'm going to read this quote because we read this every time we talk about the drug war.
Because more people should know.
Everybody should know this bullshit. And I'm just going to read these 3 paragraphs.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important to put it in context. I remember in 1996 driving limousines in Los Angeles and listening to NPR and hearing this in 1996 and going, holy cow, why is this still a thing? But this is not from 1990. This is from 2016, talking about the thing that I heard in 1996. And I'll just read the piece. This is from CNN Politics. Some guy named Tom LoBlanco wrote this, so I want to give him credit. But this is the opening 3 paragraphs. One of Richard Nixon's top advisors and key figure in the Watergate scandal said the war on drugs was created as a political tool to fight blacks and hippies, according to a 22-year-old interview recently published in Harper's Magazine. So it's an interview that was recently published in Harper's in 2016. But what they're talking about, we'll go further. The Nixon's campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had 2 enemies: the anti-war left and black people. Former Nixon domestic policy chief John Ehrlichman told Harper's writer Dan Baum for the April cover story published Tuesday. And this is the quote from Ehrlichman. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt their communities, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know that we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. This is the guy that was part architect of the drug policy saying we did it as a political move with racial and political motivations, not to help anybody except for the Nixon White House.
Exactly the same as the turn of the century, except it wasn't hippies then, it was just blacks.
And right now, no, and Mexicans.
Oh, that's right.
And so now we have, that is still happening. People are still going to jail because of this racist policy. And people wonder why Black Lives Matter is a thing.
We had such a massive brainwashing campaign in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and we haven't
Just say no.
We haven't done a response. You mean like we're going to start doing ketamine therapy, we're going to start doing MDMA therapy, we're going to legalize cannabis and put it on the stock market, but we're never going to tell the American people that we lied to them and actually explain to them what these substances do.
Yeah, maybe we should roll this back. Oh, let's just roll it back and not say why it should have never been here in the first place. Do you know what kind of world we could have had if like the last 50 years hadn't been that?
Yeah.
A lot less money in the war on drugs and a lot less money elsewhere. Maybe you actually have some educated people by now.
Gosh. Yeah.
Irritating.
No, it's just ironic to me. It just because it's such an incredible medicine for it to be this controversial, but it's slowly feeling like it's
we're massaging culture
we're getting
slowly,
there.
little bit by little bit. Yeah.
I still don't take anything across Idaho. I drive 55. I filled the speed limit. I'm very careful.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, maybe there's a nugget on the floor. I don't know. If I was to get pulled over in Idaho,
they're gonna smell my car.
There could be something.
Maybe they'll know what it smells like. I don't know.
And it's not like if it's on the floor, it's done. It's not like I'll pick it up and smoke it. It's on the floor. It's trash. I didn't know it was there. Have the dog eat. I don't know.
So for the sake of our viewers who are watching the show high in honor of the subject, can you rattle off some of your favorite cannabis things to cook? Because I keep talking about cannabis cotton candy as one of the things you're going to try eventually.
I did buy a cotton candy maker to try this.
How are you going to do it?
I'm going to take some infused sugar and run it to a Cuisinart to get it fine enough to work in the cotton candy maker. So that's actually one of the next things I'll be doing. I've been doing savories. So I've got Chex Mix. I make infused butter with full spectrum trim. Can of Chex Mix. You can make can of popcorn, which you talked about.
Yes.
I do the organic popcorn with a can of butter. And what did I do for you guys?
I didn't try the cannabis popcorn, but the nutritional yeast popcorn was really good.
Parmesan and can of butter. That's my go-to.
The nutritional yeast kind of gives it like almost sort of a nutty, salty thing.
No, it's kind of cheese
savory,
almost. It's very good.
Cheesy, nutty, salty, but without actually needing to eat cheese if you want to be a person that doesn't want to eat cheese.
I haven't made it yet, but I'm working on a recipe for infused bacon, like a praline infused bacon.
I have a friend working on that in Northern California.
Like candied
jerky.
That jerky would be amazing.
They were doing infused jerky.
I hike all day.
I did a keto. I've been doing a lot of keto stuff too. Recently, I did a keto cacao, coconut oil, fudge, but because of room temperature, it's not stable. So I just have to call it sludge, and I put it in a little jar and eat it with a spoon because you can't have chunks of it. It just melts. It goes back into.
Something about that particular combo recipe, it won't
just
solidify.
The coconut oil stuff, with the monk fruit and stevia. Right. For some reason, it just doesn't hang. Anyway. So that I made a magic shell, can of magic shell. So cacao and I used monk fruit again, and then infused coconut oil, and just throw it in the microwave for a few seconds. Pour it over ice cream, and it gets the hard shell effect, like they dip it. Dairy Queen, I've invented that.
Cool.
I'm working on some coffee creamer.
I think that would be great. That's like wake and bake. Because there are a lot. Traditionally, when people think about cannabis, they think about smoking a joint or a bowl or a bong or something like that.
Instead, you could have wake and bake.
But you could have wake and bake that doesn't, like if you have COPD or something like that.
If you can't smoke, edibles are great.
Right.
So Oklahoma went full legal.
Nice.
A few years ago, and it was one of those things where it was one of those states where everybody's like, that's going to be one of the last states to go legal. So somebody made a ballot initiative, and everybody's like, there's no way that's going to go, and it went through. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, what?
And it was like a dream initiative too.
And because there wasn't this back and forth before medical and back and forth between fully legal, they just went Yahoo with the whole thing. And soon there were like wake and bake coffee shops in Tulsa before California.
Nice.
Like they just figured it. They just went balls to the wall with the legalization, and then they would let it shake out. It's not like it's not like a crystal meth bar. I mean,
those really suck.
I want to do.
What country is doing that?
I want to do a couple of.
No, but I don't want to find out.
Tammy Strong is still stuck on the placenta pate thing. By the way, she did let everybody know.
She wasn't sneak serving you placenta
She
pate.
She wasn't making
She
like
was-
the Borat, the cheese with the.
No, she was serving this to people who knew very well what was going on. They
Right.
were very
You could think of it as
hardcore Western
celebratory.
mystics, Aleister Crowleyan.
Crunchy mamas.
Yeah, her husband had a record label with the Brian Jonestown Massacre and Iggy Pop on it. So they were some people who were
background.
out there like what the hell.
Yeah,
So-
I don't.
So
I
it
don't
was
cook with
not.
that stuff.
It was not non-consensual placenta eating.
Well, you should
Everybody
at
know.
least look at it after the baby's born because it can tell you if the baby has any problems.
Right. And Sam Thompson said, apparently the liners used in aluminum cans has been shown to pull out the THC in cannabis beverages.
So is that good or bad?
So if you have a cannabis, hey, look at our cannabis, it goes into the plastic and you don't get the benefit of it is apparently the problem.
I haven't really had a beverage I've enjoyed except that I've made my own tea. I just literally make like tea in the fridge.
Yeah.
I just put a can of water, leave it for a few days, and then I'll drink some of that.
Stems. What about the stems?
I
Stems are
just
supposed to
use
be good for
trim.
that. Yeah.
I just use trim. I use some of
shake
that. Was it green crack Kush
Yeah.
trim?
Yeah.
That stuff made some epic oil.
We actually normally give our poor elderly doggies the tiniest bit of some kind of cannabis butter when fireworks season comes around because
we're at
Butte
season
goes
right now.
ape shit.
I just made some butter for the dogs.
Yeah, and
Good. That's a good way. It's a good natural way to keep your dog calm.
Yeah.
And you really can't overdose it again.
Well, here's the problem.
No, I don't think you can't overdose
They
as
could
in
get
like
kind of
physical
weird.
It
harm.
makes them uncomfortable if you give them too much.
If they get too much,
Just
they're
like
like
a person, you kind of get
Yeah.
you get weirded out
Well,
by
yeah,
it.
I've been weirded out by having too much.
Yeah.
Or if I'm dehydrated and then I take a big bong rip, then suddenly I'm considering all my life choices.
Well, and I'm not advocating that people like give their dogs sips of wine or blow smoke in their dogs'
No.
faces, but in this case, to like prevent them from just panting and shaking all night long.
Yeah, they're actually selling some really good CBD treats for dogs.
Nice.
That help calm them, and they've got a touch
Less
of
THC.
a tiny. Well, yeah, tiny. CBD is fantastic, but if you really want to trigger it in your system, you want a touch of THC in it.
So
we made some out of the
some,
green crack also.
And it was stronger
Stronger than we were used
than I
to.
anticipated. So I guess the previous batch was from a different strain.
Yeah.
And so I knew what to dose the dogs with that butter.
And you gave them a little less.
What happens is Tulsa never had a problem with fireworks until I moved to Butte.
Yeah.
And then those big stadium fireworks that they were doing sideways down the street and creating giant domes in front of your house. And like
yeah.
bullets were hitting your
Dogs.
windows, and the dog was like,
I can't save you from
I
this.
can't protect you from this shit. But that's my job, so now I'm fucked up. So every time there's a pop or thunder or all that stuff triggers him now. So what happens if we don't do something? His anxiety increases with every pop, and he becomes a drooling, panting maniac.
Poor baby.
So what I found with a little bit of THC butter, he gets triggered when there's a pop, but then he forgets in between pops. So he freaks out a little bit, and then he forgets why he freaked out, and then he freaks out again, which is better than the constantly escalating trauma.
I'm right there with him. I don't know what triggered it in me last year, but last 4th of July, I think because we've been in the pandemic for so long, last 4th of July, I got really weirdly freaked out by fireworks. They were shooting that kind of stuff off in our neighborhood. I was living outside of Portland and Westland, and the neighbors just had a lot of illegal fireworks, and I kind of lost it.
Yeah.
I got really anxiety, kind of screamed at him.
I have a problem with him now just because
It just
I know
freaked
when it
me out,
starts, I
so-
have to deal with my dogs.
Yeah.
And so it's just me being like, fuck all y'all for doing that. But we made some new butter. There was some fireworks, and I thought, well, we're going to...
It was a thunderstorm.
It was a thunderstorm, right? So we gave a little to the dogs, and it was a little stronger than we thought. And I think we did hard reset on Billie Jean. Like, we definitely unplugged her and plugged her back in.
Yeah. She was so stoned, I had to like scoop her up off the bed and then take her and lay her down on her couch.
Yeah, she's like not doing the jumping.
She's just like touching Dark's face with
Yes.
her foot, like loving on him.
Yeah.
And she normally pants like this all the time, like with her tongue hanging out.
All
like,
the time.
Always hanging out, all mouth breather.
Yeah.
Does not mouth breathe when she's high.
And she actually started regulating her food intake.
She
for
started
a couple of
regulating
days
her
afterwards.
food like for a
Usually
couple
she's
weeks.
like, must eat everything. Are those skin cells on the floor? Oh, lick them.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Any kind of
Wait, if it
hint-
doesn't bite back, I'll eat it.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, like, but suddenly she's like, I've had enough food. Thanks.
That was the
Like,
weirdest
what's
thing
going
I've
on
ever
with you?
seen.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm the same way. Like when I have this on a regular basis, I don't get the munchies.
Yeah.
I
when
kind
it's
of have the opposite.
regular.
It's like it's always in my system. I eat to survive, but I've actually
Yeah.
lost 20 pounds since I got here.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is because I'm very consistently every night I'm taking this stuff so that I wake up pain free, especially to be on set. You can't be in pain on set.
Oh, no,
And
no.
I worked a movie before the stem cells and everything that I had so much tramadol and gabapentin in my system, I couldn't even drive. My boyfriend had to drive me to and from set.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I functioned. Oh, it turned out to be a great movie, and I just saw it at Tribeca, and it's
I
all
wish we
good,
could, like,
but
get-
it's just really like
We should get testimonials together of people talking about their experience on opioids and pharmaceutical painkillers, just so that all the middle class, middle American folks who are like, marijuana is bad, like they need to see.
That's how I got kicked off my first radio station.
They need to see the side effects of these pharmaceuticals that marijuana could be replacing.
Yeah.
Like,
By the way,
I don't take any of that. I've literally had a bottle of tramadol now for. I don't know. I refilled it
What
when
does
I
that
got
do?
it. It's an opiate, not an opioid.
Oh, okay.
So it's a non-addictive painkiller. But I was like living on that stuff, and I've had
It's
it.
addictive if you're in
I think
pain.
I've had
Yeah.
one
yeah.
in the last month.
All right.
I kind of overdid it, and I knew it was going to hurt when I woke up in the morning, so I took one before bed. But honestly, cannabis has replaced everything like that.
By the way, Evil Zaid on Twitch says hello from Turkey.
Oh, cool.
Hello, Turkey.
What are the marijuana rules like in Turkey?
Tell us what's
What
going
do
on
they
over
cut
there.
off?
We've
if
never-
you get caught with it there. Your hand,
Right.
your nose, your mouth. What do they?
I don't know if they still cut things off.
I think they do in
might
some Persian countries,
that.
but I don't think Turkey's one. But
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know.
We've never had a correspondent from Turkey before.
Yeah,
so
do you want to
exciting.
be our Turkish correspondent from now on?
That's very cool.
Um,
We're gonna do an
That's
interview with a
delightful.
friend from Russia, a correspondent from Russia, because kind of
Yes.
like one of the things I've noticed
what the fuck is going on in
growing
Russia?
up Republican and then swinging blue as I got older is kind of like everybody hates Russia and China, like nobody really likes them on
Just-
either side. I should say the U.S. citizens.
The U.S.
Most mainstream U.S. politics.
media crap.
Let me fix
Yeah,
that sentence.
say it again.
Most mainstream U.S.
Consumers.
consumers on both sides of the U.S. political parties tend to have a bad taste in their mouth for Russia and China, which is hilarious.
It's our
So
current
that
boogeyman.
immediately makes me think I need to know what's actually going on in Russia and China, because neither of you is actually telling the truth, or neither of you knows what's going on.
We
so
don't know. So yeah.
now what's going on in Turkey?
So there was I had a radio show in 1998 called The Meantime. It was on KGPR in Great Falls, Montana. This is before any legalization had occurred or decriminalization had occurred. So yeah, this is 1998. And the last show that I did there, before I was terminated, I did a series called Chemical Confessions. My show was between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m.
Huge audience then.
So I figured, well, the guy who handled drug overdoses at the hospital, he would call in and read poetry. People who worked at the night store clerks and the local prison. That was my main. And people who had gotten home from the bars and were drunk and partying in somebody's kitchen. That was the general audience. And so I did a show called Chemical Confessions because I thought, I know lots of people that have broken the taboo of the drug war. They have taken cocaine and I'm not even talking about just illegal drugs. I'm talking about pharmaceutical drugs that you got from your aunt's cabinet. I'm talking about champagne. I'm talking about this whole array of anything that makes you go, "Wah, wah, wah," anything that alters your neurochemistry, it affects our culture. So many people in our culture have had that experience, either once or twice or on a regular basis. And yet the story is we can't talk about that. So we have this whole underlayer in our art, in our music, in our politics, in our business that has been created, that has been germinated in these black market neurochemical events, but we can't talk about it. So we're living in a false reality. We like to think that this world doesn't contain illegal drugs because that's illegal, but this whole world is shaped by that stuff. So I had a show called Chemical Confessions where I had people
More
call
so
in.
the legal pharmaceuticals and alcohol than the illegal.
Yeah. So I had people call in and
venture to
say, tell me about the first time you got ripped. Like, tell me about the first time you took mushrooms or cocaine. And people started calling in and telling me all these stories. And it was mostly lovely stories, except for one guy who was a troll. And I'm hooked on heroin. I can't get off. And why are you guys trying to do this? And then my poet from the drug intake then called in and says, well, if you're hooked on heroin, we can help you with this way. So we did an intervention live online.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
But I was terminated from that radio station, even though the station manager told me to do whatever I want and push the envelope.
He didn't mean a little crystalline cocaine envelope. He meant the one that the checks come in from the sponsors.
The kids were in bed. I did do a thing. I'm like, okay, if the kids are awake, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. If the kids are awake, I think them listening to my show is the least of their problems. Right now.
Yes.
Right.
They should listen to some level-headed grown-ups talking about real-life situations and not being wackos about it.
I still think it's an important topic.
Adult
we
scandal.
should be talking about these things because I think this false reality where we pretend those drugs are only done by bad people, and our culture is built on them. Most cultures are built on some neurochemical augmentation.
Yeah. My father was a genius. He was a research and development engineer at Tektronix in Oregon. He was a big stoner all the time. But I remember he was my stepdad, but from when I was 3 on.
So an illegal stoner.
Yes. But he's brilliant. The man holds patents. I actually have a patent of his framed at home for some like random 007 thing, like how to conduct electricity on non-conductive surfaces. That's his patent, one of them.
So he does have a patent for it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, genius inspiration from it. I mean, he wasn't, some stupid stoner. I remember he was working on the beginnings of first color photocopiers.
What?
When I was little. He's like, look at this. It only took 6 minutes to print. I'm like, oh, wow.
Well, the guy that invented the PCR test in the 70s to amplify tiny bits of genetic material so he could study them was
Carrie
a
Mullis.
total acid head.
Yeah, Carrie
He was
Mullis.
like, I just want to see tiny things, but better. How do I make them bigger? And it's like a PCR test is like a chemical microscope.
I'm going to find that interview.
Yeah.
There's an interview with Carrie Mullis.
Total acid head.
He was saying, yeah, I was tripping on acid and I got home and I'm like, we should do this thing. And then he invented the PCR test. And then advised us never, ever, ever, ever try to use it to diagnose an active infection.
Because it can't see active infections. It can only see genetic material.
The biggest, dumbest thing that ever happened on the planet.
We don't have another 6 hours to go on the PCR test topic right now.
No, I know.
In our current application.
That's right.
Yeah.
Our current application is bogus, unfortunately.
We both know, unfortunately, really well.
So many nasal swabs in the film industry right now.
Oh, my God. Pulling pieces of my brain out.
It hurts. They're like, oh, it's just a swab. And I'm like, no, bitch.
No,
it's a tiny plastic pine tree.
It's a damn little broom.
It's like a literal, imagine shoving a literal tiny plastic pine tree up your head 3 times a week.
Yeah. Oh, I know people that do it daily.
Some of the nurses are not very nice about it.
I've got friends in the industry that are, doing it every day on set.
Oh, my God.
Places.
So I'm sending a link about, it's a Wikipedia page about Carrie Mullis, inventor of the PCR test. And he wrote a book where he talks fondly about his LSD use.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I am also...
Now, this is not the guy that formulated the version of the PCR test that we used.
The German guy, Drosten.
So Drosten...
Something like that.
did some PCR research and also is invested in PCR stock with his science partner.
No, Kerry Mullis died just before this whole thing started.
And so Drozdon is the one that used a coronavirus that he had on hand in the lab to formulate the version of PCR testing that we are using.
So chemical inspiration's not a bad thing if you use it properly.
Right? I know.
And I don't know a lot of stoners that use it for bad. I mean, I can't think of anyone I know who's like, I'm gonna go get stoned and then I'm gonna break windows or I'm gonna kick a dog. It's like I'm gonna get stoned and hey puppy, and I mean it's the polar opposite of aggro,
right?
And anger. It's just it.
Right, so Evil Zaid says they definitely have drug laws in Turkey, so go to the Netherlands. Sorry.
Awesome. But ironically, the Netherlands, I was actually thinking of moving there to do edibles business.
Oh.
Because I have friends there. I love it. But here's the thing. The Netherlands doesn't allow extraction.
What?
You can only they call them space cakes over there. You can only cook with ground cannabis. You can't use
trying to prevent the
strength
of the thing
something? No, it's so bizarre. You can... It's legal to possess it and to buy it, and they can't. So this Pulp Fiction quote: it's legal to possess it, you can buy it, but if the cops stop you, they can't search you. Remember that whole scene?
Right? No, what was that from?
Pulp Fiction.
Oh, yeah, it was too long ago.
Yeah,
it had Uma Thurman, right?
Uma Thurman. Yeah. It's John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson in a diner talking about marijuana, or in a car talking about marijuana, cannabis. About their
well, they were talking about marijuana back then.
They
were
sure. Then. But yeah, it's you can possess it and you can sell it in a certain store. It's just a really weird set of laws over there.
That's what happened in California. Is they made even hash or keef was still considered highly processed material. And you could sell herb and bud and all that, but for the first few years, if you got caught with hash, you were still back in the old Schedule 1 days. I was in the
Netherlands in March of 2003 and actually bought some mushrooms, and fresh mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms, but they're fresh. They're the little spice containers that we get our herbs in at the grocery store. They had mushrooms in the same packaging. You could buy, brownies. You could buy a joint. You could buy shake, flour, whatever you can buy, whatever you want. They don't sell processing. Anything that's processed. And so there isn't a complete big edibles business there. It's all underground. Mm-hmm. And yes, you can have, it's a very strange set of laws in the Netherlands.
Sam Thompson says Netherlands are worried about blowing up, literally. It's potentially difficult to get this particular extraction company to come out and build explosion-proof extraction booths. I don't know if that's a joke that they're worried about blowing up or
no actual blowing up.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like you can, unless it's changed. But this was the last couple of years I've read what I've read about their laws, and it was edibles. And I had a little brownie when I was there. It was disgusting, and I didn't feel anything. I was like,
because you're a chef.
It was just awful. It was really dry, and it didn't really. There was not much anything to it. It was really disappointing. Actually, I gave the rest away to somebody. I was like, it's not doing anything for me.
I don't need the weed badly enough to eat this shitty brownie.
Yeah, I don't want to take this home and have some dog I was flying out of Park City. So to Salt Lake, sniff at the airport and find out that I have a brownie with me and go to jail over something that was terrible, not even worth it. So I gave it away.
I posted an article in the YouTube and the Facebook comments. It's a Wired magazine article from some other time. See the time
2006.
Yeah, it's called LSD, the Geeks Wonder Drug.
The Greeks Wonder Drug?
The Geeks Wonder Drug. It says some 2,000 scientists, artists, and technologists gathered to celebrate the 100th birthday of Albert Hofmann, the chemist who discovered LSD.
Abby.
Some big thinkers some big thinkers credit the drug with changing the way they solve tough problems. Ann Harrison reports from Basel, Switzerland.
Basel.
So that article, I think, incorporates Kerry Mullis talking about his invention of the PCR test, by the way.
It would be really fascinating to study, make it like almost somebody's, thesis or something, to study the positive effects over time of okay, so the PCR test was invented by somebody that was into acid. What was invented by somebody that was into cannabis? Somebody that was mushrooms invented this or solved this problem.
Well, that's the thing. We can't talk. We couldn't talk about it before, but now
it would be fascinating to actually have someone research that now.
We need to evolve our memories of our own culture
and
because
list
our memories,
all the people, the
our,
artists,
all the positive things.
Our memories got hijacked.
Yeah.
When they criminalized black people and radicals. Basically everybody who weren't straight white people.
And didn't want to go to war.
So when they criminalized them, they created a false narrative of criminality in people who didn't want to go out bludgeoning each other with
and now
assholery.
The total irony now is that the people that are getting rich off it are those white men, not the communities of color that used to sell it.
No, there are still people in prison.
Yes, because
while this is being traded on the stock exchange.
Right.
That's one of those things you can just
super
put that on
ironic
a
things
t-shirt.
that just blows my mind.
That's
inappropriate.
Criminal. That's criminal.
Yeah.
I think that's criminal. Not would put them in jail. The law, making the law criminalizing these people was criminal.
Right. Exactly.
Well, because when we first did our first massive
harm.
2-part series. Last season about the drug war, I was like, let's get really down and dirty with these terms because we kind of use the word substance like a trigger word or drug like a trigger word, unless it's like a cancer drug, or like ibuprofen. And so we were like doing basic definitions for all of these drugs. And one of the ones that I did went into was the history of the word crime and how it's been colloquially defined over time. A crime used to be something that causes harm.
Yeah.
And they've changed the definition of crime to just be something that is against the law.
Yeah, that's a recent shift.
Yeah, that's a recent shift. So it's not that you are actually harming anyone. It's just that you're not doing what you've been told is okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, literally now means figuratively. I'm going to bring that up every time I can because that's the end of the world right there.
Sam Thompson volunteers as tribute to be the straight white guy to fix America.
All right, thanks.
And the drug war.
Bring it, Sam.
Yes, bring
Let's
it.
do it.
Let's use our straight white power. Your straight white power.
Don't say
You're
white power. Don't say white and power.
Straight white
Lord.
Okay.
Oh Lord,
okay.
take that back. You're gonna edit that.
I grew up under a box, a rock.
A box of rocks.
Straight white male power.
There you go.
Still
not okay.
It's too much.
Take the power out.
You can't just take the power out.
Influence. Straight white male influence.
Yeah.
Influence over power.
It is power.
But influence. Let's use that term. Power doesn't. Yeah. No. Or
that's
pride.
what the guys in the hoods and the sheets yell. White power all the time. That's the chant.
Yeah, but they're not white anymore. They're pink because they get washed with the MAGA t-shirts, and then they all turn pink. Those.
Oh, that's a problem.
Oh, scary times.
Ooh, so
she went there.
Oops. Did I go there?
Yeah. Sam Thompson said, "Please be careful."
Yeah. No, someday we're going to do a post-Orthodoxy blooper reel, and
all the things that will make us lose all our friends.
We'll just cut them out for you.
Yeah.
And put them all in a horrific blooper reel of like Dark's dad gave him a MAGA hat when we visited them in 2019.
My mom got it. Yeah, my
Yes.
mom got it because she contributed to the campaign.
Oh no!
So
and
now
I said, you don't want this? And I said, you don't want to just be loud and proud around town? She said, oh, I'm not going to wear it.
But she gave it to you.
She gave it to me.
They're actually really nice to scoop the cat box with.
I actually wanted to try to wear it.
He wanted
in the
to do a
airport.
social experiment.
I was like, I should, we're in Denver or something. Nobody knows this. What if I just walk around with a MAGA hat to see what they see? Because when you wear a MAGA hat and you walk around,
you get different reactions.
You get the winks and nods from certain people, and you get other people going. So I'm like, I want to know what that feels like.
Yeah, but you're
to be misinterpreted.
Dark,
but the problem for me was I don't want to be walking next to you while that happens. So
yeah,
because that's a psychedelic experience.
Yeah,
right
to
there.
be perceived as a completely different person.
Because you have a different slice of reality that is now looking at you. When I lived in Los Angeles and I was like a hippie with long hair and all that, and I had ripped off denim jacket and a '68 Land Cruiser with no top or doors, and then I shaved my head and drove limousines and wore a suit. So I just drive around a Lincoln Town Car. Nobody knew if it was my car or, unless you saw the bumper sticker or whatever. And suddenly that was a very psychedelic experience. Suddenly Los Angeles was different to me. suddenly different people looked at me. Different people were willing to talk to me on the street.
Open the doors of perception in a different direction.
That was a very psychedelic, just changed my look. And I was in a different town in Los Angeles. And I thought the idea of putting on a MAGA hat, like I'm not a fan of that guy, but I know there's like huge fandom of that guy. So I'm like, what does that feel like? Because people wear that hat and they get, I tell people all the time, for some people, Donald Trump is the political version of a dead baby joke. They wear it as a gross out to own the libs, right? I wear my MAGA hat, and then the libs go, oh my God, I'm in danger, right? And they like that because they have power over the libs because you just hijacked their neurology. When they saw you, they suddenly had emotional feelings, mental feelings.
It's a form of power.
It's a form of power. So when they wear that, they are flexing to the people. It's a virtue signal for people that they agree with. Mm-hmm. And it's a fuck you to people they don't agree with. And they can just walk down with a hat and alter their reality. And I thought,
have influence.
I still want to do that at some point, even though the window's closed. But
not so much.
To see.
Well.
Something. We were driving through like Kentucky or Tennessee somewhere.
Oh, wow. The Trump forest.
There was a floodplain.
I wanted a video of this. So it's like 10 feet down from the highway. So the interstate is elevated. You got to get the visual in your head. So the interstate is elevated. You got a wall of trees on your left side.
Big, tall, giant forest.
Deciduous trees.
Okay. Yeah.
And then on the right is like this swoops down from the interstate floodplain, like down 10, 20 feet with just delicately interspersed aspen trees or something tall and skinny, like every 10, 15 feet, just a grove of them for like a mile. And like every few trees, like 40 feet up in the air,
was a Trump sign.
Someone had hung a Trump sign on the trees.
So it
was like a grove of Trump fruit. I was like, how did they do this?
Low hanging.
That was some commitment.
That was somebody working really hard.
Low hanging and really small. That's the
It was
fruit.
really funny. Yeah.
Anyway, enough about Trump.
Ooh.
Well, this has been fun, you guys.
Yeah.
It's been very fascinating. You can talk this topic anytime you let me know.
Sam Thompson said this episode is never getting monetized.
Yeah.
LOL.
Evil's Aid has to head out because his battery's dying in Turkey. It's 3:10 in the morning.
Hey, thanks for joining us from Turkey.
He has insomnia, and this person has insomnia. I don't know if Evil's Aid is how they identify.
Right.
So this person has insomnia, and hopefully they'll join us on Monday.
Yeah, we'll be back Monday.
Hopefully you can sleep, but if not, see you on Monday.
Yeah.
Or I should say really early Tuesday morning.
Hey, Evil's Aid, and all those people who are listening to the show right now, if you have not gone to the Post-Orthodoxy page on YouTube.
Oh, please.
We have 69 likes.
70.
We have 70 likes.
It's just fun to say 69.
It is fun.
It is.
And we want to get to 100, so we can say YouTube/Post-Orthodoxy. Right now, it's just a bunch of gibberish.
Which I just posted. You can see the gibberish, yeah.
So please go to our YouTube page. Help us be one of the last 30 people to help us get our URL.
Log into your grandma's account
Yeah.
and like us with her Google account. She's not going to care. It doesn't do anything.
Would really appreciate that.
I'm not advocating hacking, okay? So, Krysta, how do you feel about the terms hard drugs and soft drugs?
What? Soft drugs? I've never even heard the term soft drugs.
Turkey calls anything, I think it was Turkey or the Netherlands calls anything that's legal soft drugs.
Oh, never heard that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard that term either. Hard drugs, I've heard that term.
Yeah, how do you feel about the categorization hard drugs?
It's just kind of a scare tactic.
Yeah.
Make it seem like an evil thing. I mean, honestly, Oregon has now decriminalized everything. It's all a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Cocaine, heroin.
What does misdemeanor
meth,
mean?
You get a ticket, no jail time, and instead you get sent to rehab.
Okay.
Versus
so it's like
jail.
a productive spanking rather than your life is over.
Yeah. So they've done that there. So basically everything back home is
productive spanking.
Is soft now.
Another band name.
Band name.
A new hobby. I don't know.
Yeah. A good weekend.
Right. 4th of July. No, I just, I feel like I said earlier, all drug use is medicinal. People don't always approach it as that.
Yeah.
But if you're taking something and you know what the effects are and you're putting it in your body, you're affecting yourself and therefore it's medicinal.
Do you?
And it might be
Not all
it might be just
not-
like, hey, let's do some coke because it's fun. It's like, well, maybe you're super depressed and you just want to, and that's why you're doing that. Well, it's medicinal.
It's like dogs going out and eating grass.
Right.
They don't know why they're eating grass. They just go
are.
eat grass because
Right.
their
And
system is saying.
especially-
So
they
you're
need some-
saying maybe you're led to, like
Right.
almost in a primal way, we're led to do these things, and then the
Right.
fucked up system we lived in causes us to abuse them instead of just use them.
Right. I think it's all it's
Well,
all approach
criminalizing
and
drugs
perspective, but
is a
yeah,
bad
it's-
idea.
Yeah. Anytime you make something a cookie jar, like with our stupid abstinence sex training, sex education in this country, like anytime you make something,
if it's illegal,
a cookie jar, yeah, it's more attractive if you're not supposed to do it.
As a kid, my parents gave me really shitty dry wine and really strong, horrible beer, a sip. And I was like, oh, this is awful. I don't want that. So I didn't, it wasn't a thing with me. It's
Right.
one of those things that
my friend Ashley, her parents taught her how to drink. They had a drink, they had I don't want to say a drinking culture, but like in contrast, my mom was very much wishes that people would just not do it because of her experiences growing up with alcoholism, growing up with alcoholic people in her life. And so like I had to learn how to I wouldn't say healthfully with alcohol, but how to properly use alcohol rather than abuse alcohol from my friend Ashley, who took me out to St. Louis on my 21st birthday weekend. And she was like, okay, for every drink you have, you want to have a glass of water, and always try to be have a snack every hour, every couple of hours,
It's wise
Don't,
advice.
Sugary drinks are more likely to give you a headache or a hangover. It was awesome.
I did a whole bunch of, I quit drinking for bicycle terms, 90 something bicycle touring. And
what's bicycle touring?
Riding a bicycle
I was doing
on a
Cycle
tour.
Oregon trips, which Cycle Oregon is 2,000 people, and we ride from Portland to Ashland the first time, Pendleton to Newport the second time. 2,000 riders. They carry your tent and your luggage, and you just ride and you have these.
So you have a
great experiences.
caravan that has your gear.
We had 1,500 support staff.
So if you want to tour the Pacific Northwest coast,
it's an annual tour that
but on a
they
bike.
do this. Yeah. Anyway, I quit drinking for 6 months to get ready for. I just wanted to get in, really great shape for this tour. And one night I had 3 non-alcoholic pina coladas, and I'll tell you what, I was a hungover little mess the next day, and I realized not the alcohol, it's the sugar for me personally. So it's like you really have to.
Yeah.
You said there's
These
sweet things or hangovers. Well, even without the alcohol, sweet things, if you get too much of it.
Harm reduction people, don't just tell people, don't drink until you're 21 and then go balls to the wall on your 21st birthday and fuck yourself up and have a horrible time. Don't, beer before liquor, never been sicker, liquor before beer, you're in the clear. These little things, they don't do the same thing to everybody, much like indicas and sativas don't treat everybody the same way. But as a general rule, if you've been for me, I've realized recently that if I've been drinking other things, I might not want to switch to my favorite tequila drink, which is a Paloma with grapefruit juice. But if I've already been having a Paloma, it's okay if I then end the night with a glass of whiskey. I had
a friend of mine.
Very weird.
Chef Dougie Doug.
True, though.
He was a professional drinker.
Oh boy. Rest in peace, chef.
Yeah, he's dead now.
I only say that because I've heard about Chef.
Chef Dougie Doug.
I've heard about Chef a lot.
He's
Yeah.
dead. Yes. Okay.
No, he would go through a bottle of Wild Turkey 101 in a night.
Fuck.
But he figured out how to mix it with lemon lager, which had enough sweet in it that allowed him to drink more. Right? He figured out his own chemistry that allowed him to put more alcohol into his body than should have happened.
Jesus.
And he found tricks in order to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's dead now. Do not recommend.
No. I recommend cannabis.
Yeah.
Get the alcohol. Just
It wasn't legal at the time.
Okay.
Details.
I know this isn't technically too soon because Dougie Doug died a while ago.
Yeah.
But Green Day says, ironically, he got hit by a truck delivering O'Doul's.
Oh, yeah, that is ironic.
That would be ironic, but that's not how Chef Dougie Doug died.
No.
Sam Thompson has quit drinking. He says, I think it's a good plan for me. I cheers that plan.
Yeah, we're taking a week off.
I'm taking a week off because
I'm taking a week off.
I love seeing
Just to
my
try it.
friends, and there's the only way in Butte to socialize is to go out in the evening and see who walks past the bar.
That's how you meet people these days.
You meet people. We meet so many cool people at bars. We, we go sit on a couch or out on the sidewalk and folks walk by. That's how you check in with your friends.
Is that you have friends. They're like, hey,
I'll buy you a drink.
Suddenly drinks show up and you have 3 drinks.
Oh my God.
You don't want to waste it.
Yeah.
We had our little after party at the Tribeca screening Saturday night at this place in New York. And there was a tequila sponsor. And they were doing these mermaids, which was a spicy margarita. And then they were doing, because the theme of the movie has a mermaid.
Things.
But not this week.
And then they had then they had palomas. And the tequila rep, for some reason, she just absolutely latched on my friend Melissa and I. And they were this big. Palomas. Oh. We started with 2.
Which I like it like that, but with only the regular amount of tequila, so it takes me longer to drink.
And then they just kept coming. And when we went to leave at like 2:30 in the morning, I think we had 2 backed up each, and we just gave them away. Like, here you go, have it.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I do. Tequila's the only thing. Anything else causes inflammation. So
wow. Okay. Right, because gluten.
Canna and Paloma. Mm-hmm. Those are Canna and tequila. Those are my.
That's not bad.
It's actually the Steely Dan thing. If you think about it,
I don't know who Steely Dan is.
It was a band.
It was a band, and there's this song
and
about.
It's also a euphemism for a dildo.
Yes. And right. And the that's how they got their name.
Yeah.
That's a great trivia question.
Yeah.
How did the band Steely Dan get their name? They got it from the name of the dildo in Clockwork Orange.
Which was called a Steely Dan.
What? Yes. Sometimes, unfortunately, those memes that go around that say, this thing lives in my head rent free, right?
Yeah.
So we recently watched A Clockwork Orange for the first time in my life. And sometimes I'll just be like living my life, being a normal person, and this phrase will pop into my head, a little bit to the old in and out. I'm just like, God damn it! Get out of my head, you weirdo!
That's a great movie.
For a little bit of the old in and out. In and out.
But Steely Dan has a lyric that's something like...
When I was a kid, I would get like songs from The Sound of Music stuck in my head.
What's the line? Cuervo and... What's the line in that Steely Dan song? Something about Cuervo and Hey 19. It's...
Hey 19. Yeah.
It's Cuervo
I don't know
and...
I'm not going to be able to pull it up.
Cuervo and Kona Gold or something like. Anyway, there's a piano or something gold. Columbia Gold.
The Cuervo Gold, the fine Colombian. Make tonight a wonderful thing.
There you go.
Say it again.
That's the lyric. Right
they
there.
were bucking the system.
Yep.
Wow.
Love those.
They were
guys.
saying illegal stuff.
Love those guys. But that's my jam. It's tequila and Canna, and I'm a happy camper, and I'm out of pain, and it's all good. I think it's great medicine, and I just really hope that we can sort of normalize, lose the stigma as time goes by.
Yeah.
Normalize it to the point that, it's what we reach for medicine instead of a pharmaceutical.
I feel like generationally it has to keep getting better,
Yeah.
Green Day's recently got his dad through rehab for alcoholism, and he's struggling with feeling like he can't want to have a drink and still be supportive of his dad's struggle with alcoholism.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I had a housemate that was in recovery. And anyway, the first time I got to meet his dad was on St. Patrick's Day. And Dad said, come out to this bar. We're going to see some music. This is a guy who literally had just gotten out of 12 days in.
Weesh.
Right.
Yeah. Alcohol.
That's
and
rough.
I was like, wow. Okay. And he's like, yeah, that's just where my dad wants to meet us. So that's what we did. But it's just really the hypocrisy of people that are...
I want people to be able to be supportive.
I have a friend of mine who owns a bar. Well, he used to be my friend. He owns a bar, and he's been in the program for like 12 years. And he said owning a bar and bartending and watching people get fucked up on alcohol is one of the things that keeps him from going back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, my mother was an alcoholic, and that's why I rarely drink. I mean, I'll have like one or two. Saturday night, we were Ubering, so it didn't matter. I think I had 3 or 4 of those things over the 4 hours we were there. But I can't. I grew up with that, and so Canna's the jam.
Thanks for coming in and doing our show.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking. This was a good time.
Is there anything?
I had no idea what I thought. I don't know. I guess I thought I was going to be like interviewing you more about your life and your choices, but this was like a really fun show on a particular topic, and I appreciate your input.
Thanks. Absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah.
Give me a topic. I'll research it. I'll be here.
We're putting our website up, and then we're going to develop a subscriber base. Like the yieldy $5 a month thing, and then when we hit a certain threshold, everybody's like, for the price of a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You too can, X, Y, Z. And so when we hit a certain threshold, not that we have day jobs, but the dedication is to devote another live stream each week, but for subscribers. So say we hit 100 subscribers, that's $500 a month. Once we take out taxes, it'll be less. But so we add a live stream, which means
only $500.
Hey, it's just an example.
Okay.
Don't get crazy, you holy roller. High baller.
We put a lot of work into these improvised
Put a lot
shows.
of work into these shows. But that means more guests, which
Yeah.
is exciting because right now it's kind of like I'm booked out like 5 or 6 guests into the future, which is over a month. And I'm just like, how do I fit in all the cool people? And then each person that we've been talking to, we've been asking them, who is the smartest person you know? And I'm making a list because we want to start interviewing those people too. Did you think of someone?
We're on a scavenger hunt for the smartest people so that we can become hang out with them, ask them questions, and maybe be a little smarter.
Sam Thompson says, bring her back on in the future, please.
Thanks, Sam. Wow, the smartest person I know.
And we don't
smartest person you know.
You don't have to out them right here.
No, I think
unless you come up with something.
Yeah, what's your gut? If you were to be like, the smartest fucking person in my life.
The smartest person in your life.
Melissa
the person.
Kelton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Melissa, you done been called out.
She's
What's
in
her
Italy. They just left
expertise?
for. It's my friend that was my +1 at Tribeca.
Oh yeah.
They just left for their house in Italy for the summer. They'll be back in.
Okay.
Well, we have Zoom.
We have Zoom.
We do.
You could just
But
have her
she's-
from Italy, live from Italy.
Yeah, she's kind of brilliant.
What's her area of
brilliance in?
expertise?
She was a Silicon Valley fixer for corporate things for years.
I want to know things.
She's
She might not even actually be able to be on our show.
Well, she is on a big old NDA, but I think it's going to be over in the next year or two.
That's good. I was on
I
an
think it's
NDA.
over soon.
I'm really good at avoiding topics that you're not supposed to talk about. So
Yeah, I don't even know if she
I just
can,
won't
but
ask
we can
her
find it.
about
No, she's just
George
fun.
Clooney.
I met her years ago, and we were all waiting tables at Stein Eriksen Lodge in Deer Valley, and we became good friends. And her daughter, I used to babysit her daughter, and I don't babysit. Small people scare me. But Taylor was great, and now her daughter's like 30, and I've seen her as an adult, and she's lovely. And
that's
so,
fun.
but no, Mel, she's just got one of those brains. It's good for
okay.
During Y2K. Okay, I don't remember what she was doing. They were doing construction or something. She quit that to open a supply business.
For Y2K.
For Y2K supplies.
So smart.
And I was like, oh my God, what does she know? I know, but I'm like, what is she? But
everybody bought it.
Everybody
smart
bought
for
into
her
it.
because everybody
So
bought her
all
stuff.
I could think of is, what does she know that I don't, that she went into this? And we actually had this conversation last Saturday night at about 3 a.m. So it would have been Sunday morning.
Remember that Y2K thing?
And I said that's the reason, because I bought a house and a chainsaw for Y2K. I was living in a literal glass house in Sun Valley, Idaho, a couple of roommates, and I moved to Twisp, Washington, which is by Winthrop in the middle of nowhere, less than an hour to the Canadian border on the east of the Cascades. I bought a house and a chainsaw because I felt like I needed to be somewhere safe. I bought a bunch of Visqueen, a bunch of seeds, all the hand tools. I bought all the stuff because we were going to have a crisis. There's 3 rivers that I could confluence so I could hear. So I was in a safe spot, but this woman, I'm like, she's in this business. She must know something I don't.
Right.
We had this conversation the other night. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that you did all that because of me. We just did that.
You trusted her.
She goes, we just did this. This is what we did. We opened this business. And I said, I just figured you knew something I didn't. So that's why I bought the house and everything. She's like, oh, wow.
There's still some 5-gallon buckets
just
of mealy wheat sitting around in somebody's basement from that thing.
Yeah, all over the Mormon country. They for years, way before Y2K. They have like 5 years of food supplies. It's a thing.
We had cans of fish, cans of sardines and stuff.
Oh wait, you prepared for Y2K too?
Oh yeah, my parents did. Yeah. For one of the first times I got to drink alcohol, we sat up and drank champagne and stayed up. It was like the only New Year's Eve my mother stayed up for.
Because that was
I drove back to Cannon Beach to be with my friends. If the world's going to end, I was living in Twisp. I'm like, well, and actually the next day is when 2 days later is when I started my job with
clock rolled over and nothing happened.
With the princess in Utah, and so nothing happened.
Yeah.
But
we had like 5-gallon buckets of wheat.
She's brilliant. She's just got one of those brains that any topic, she's very contemplative. She'll say whatever she's going to say. Melissa's definitely the most intelligent human I know.
So how do I spell her last name?
Online you don't.
What?
Online you don't, probably.
Oh, I'm not putting it online. I'm putting it in my notes.
Oh, Kelton.
K-E-L. Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody Google her.
She's not Googleable. She's, like I said, this woman is on this big NDA from her past job, and she just doesn't, there's zero presence out there.
My NDA is over now from being a limo driver in LA.
Is it?
So if you want to hear that thing, yeah, it's over. So if you want to hear about that time that I drove Captain Kirk and he got mad at me.
Did he have tribbles?
Or if you want to hear that time that I drove, who's that guy from Mad Max?
Mad Max?
The Australian guy.
Oh, you mean the old Mad Max?
The old Mad Max.
Mel Gibson.
That time that I drove Mel Gibson and he got mad at me.
I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah, I'm like,
We'll talk about that on another
But that
show.
is the most intelligent person I know.
Okay.
Right.
Any other pressing topics we should cover before we wrap things up for today?
No, I think we're good.
No?
I think we did it.
No burning passions in your life? No big reveals?
No, well, I mean, if somebody's got an extra $4 million laying around and they
Any
want to
$4
send
million
it my way to
Do you have a project for it?
yes, my lodge up in my bed and breakfast in Livingston.
All right.
Yes. Elite, private.
Super private.
Lodge time.
Membership and referral only.
Right.
Bed and breakfast, but
Legacy
again,
memberships.
Not the bud isn't the emphasis, but I kind of call it that just because I want people to be aware it could be around. That's really the bottom line. I say that because it could potentially be around. I'm not going to encourage it.
Right.
I'm not going to discourage it. It's just I don't want it to be treated any different than a cigarette or a scotch or a cigar.
I do want marijuana to be treated different than a cigarette.
You know what? I would rather have marijuana, scotch, and cigars than a cigarette.
Oh,
just because of the health detriment.
Yeah. Yes.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, but that's that's where I'm at right now. Heading up there next weekend to check it out again. And
it's exciting. Yeah. All right. Well, we're putting it out into the universe. Somebody with $4 million.
Just send us a note.
Yep.
Yeah. Or a check.
We'll hook you guys up.
Yep.
Or just send a check. Yeah, it's fine. All right. Thank you so much to everybody that tuned in today. And thank you to our lurkers. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
We're always finding out about lurkers tuning into Post-Orthodoxy or watching the show after the fact.
Right.
And even though you don't participate live, we still really appreciate you.
Watch by any motivation. It's still, we don't
It's
care
still
what
a
it
rose.
is. It's still, it's still eyes on the
That's right.
prize. It's still a number.
All right, and y'all take a minute and subscribe to us on Post-Orthodoxy on YouTube so that we can stop asking you, God, and then we'll just do organic follows after that. Okay, we're not going to be bugging.
We could do that topic sometime. Organic food versus non-organic. We'll do that topic.
I'm so jaded about organic food, but I would love to have that conversation.
We'll do that conversation sometime.
Sam says cigars are okay, but cigarettes aren't.
Cigars remind me of my grandfather, the smell of cigars, and I love that. So, yeah, they're fine.
Oh, it has a personal motivation.
Yeah,
See, here I was trusting you that you had some sort of scientific motivation behind.
They just smell better.
I mean, they do smell better. Filters are really bad for you. So, like smoking just plain nicotine rolled is better than smoking something with a filter.
Well, cigars, you're not supposed to be inhaling the smoke.
Right.
You're just puffing it and getting the
nicotine.
nicotine
the taste.
and the nicotine is going into your...
But it's not
doing
coating your
lung
lungs.
stuff with.
Right.
You can't chain smoke cigars.
Yeah.
Ouch, no.
Yeah. Well, and
I tried.
Yeah.
Can't.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't recommend that either. I wouldn't chain smoke anything.
Well, but also like the thing that's super dangerous about cigarettes is the filters. Like,
is that true?
Filters and the chemicals in them.
Yeah, all the
There's so
chemicals.
much
Like
junk
you're breathing. It's not so like people have been smoking things for thousands of years, but it's the filters and stuff and the modern bullshit that we put in cigarettes
and everything else.
But I want to be like a dragon and blow smoke.
Then get a pipe like Gandalf.
It's true.
There you go.
Put your marijuana in it. It'd be great. Blow smoke rings. He can blow smoke rings. Okay, guys.
Fun times. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back Monday. What's our theme on Monday?
We don't know, but we're
Who's our
talking with
guest on
Harold
Thursday?
Cranberry on Thursday.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, and it's almost exactly the 1 year anniversary of the last time he was on the show.
Oh, fun.
Or 2 year maybe. I'm not sure if he came in. I think
I'm
he
glad
came
he's
in
come
pre-COVID.
back.
Yeah,
Let's
2019.
come up with a subject.
I think we have to come up with a subject for Monday, yeah.
All right.
But
Aardvarks.
Pangolins.
Penguins.
Pangolins.
Oh, pangolins are an actual, but
penguins.
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 The noble
Benedict
Bender
Cumberbund.
Snatch
Yes.
Cumberbund.
Penguins.
But a
That's
white
for
boy
new
can't be
topic.
con. All right, guys, go to Benedict Cumberbatch name generator. And if you're feeling low, remember there is a Hall & Oates hotline that you can call and hear.
Call and Oates.
Call No, it's a Hall & Oates hotline. That was just the witty title of the news article.
Oh.
Yeah, that you can call when you're feeling blue, and they'll play you a song.
The Hall & Oates
hotline. Yep, that's true.
Are you going to post the link or just tease people with it?
I was trying to do like a witty wrap up to the end of the show.
So if you really
Stephen Colbert.
if you really care about Hall & Oates, you can look it up, I guess. Hate to leave you hanging.
That's right. Axolotls.
Well, thanks for a good time.
Thank
guys.
you, Krysta. I appreciate you. We'll do this again sometime.
Starting
Absolutely.
to deviate.
That's right. It's the end. We haven't even consumed anything yet. It's great. All right. Talk to you guys later.
Cheers and aloha.